Sepp Blatter's ability to hang on to power in FIFA is nothing short of miraculous, and it continues on as he is voted into his 5th consistent term as FIFA president. To give you a little background about what happened is Mr. Blatter fell short of 7 votes needed to win it in the first round of the 2/3 majority vote needed. So it went to go into a second round, but Prince Ali opted not to contest further, and so he continues on in power despite all of the protest and the corruption that's gone on and the 14 people indicted. Sepp Blatter remains basically bulletproof at this point in FIFA, and is not. We're going to get into a little bit more detail about those involved and those who voted. So in the first round of votes, 133 people voted for Blatter, whilst 73, I believe, voted in favour of Prince Ali. And I just tweeted basically those 133 people were voted, 1, to keep their pockets full, and 2, for their jobs. Because they know if Sepp Blatter goes, further cleansing process will proceed throughout FIFA, and those sackless, cowardly people could be facing unemployment, because if a new face comes in, then things start to change around FIFA. Maybe more. We know more investigation is about to occur. So maybe those people who are just so cowardly that they don't want to face change are those who will be directly investigated in the future, and they're trying to keep themselves in a job by voting for this corrupt man who remains in power.
So Sepp Blatter won this election based off favors and money, which I don't think a lot of people need to start separating the difference between the two. 20 years ago, or 17 years that Sepp Blatter's been president of FIFA, means favors were built upon favors upon favors upon favors, and there is a major difference between business and ethics. And they do cross, they teach this at school somewhere, business ethics, but when the reality of it becomes is when your pockets go as deep as your knees and your feet, then the ethics are thrown out the window. Now, 209 federations get a vote. 209 federations, out of the 209 federations, not all of them are as fortunate as we are here in the United States, and we understand that, as people are in a lot of Europe, in Germany, in places that are economically sound and provide opportunity. When a country, and I'm quoting some of Dan Wetzel's piece off Yahoo Sports, like Comoros and the United States, and Comoros in Germany and Comoros in Russia have the equal vote, it causes the problem that Sepp Blatter's favors going back 17 years get built in, and then you call and you say, hey, I still need you to vote for me. Yeah. And that's how he won. That is simply, and it sucks to say this, it really does, because this guy is such a scumbag, but it's politics.
It is, it's politics, and there's no separation in FIFA because it's an inter-community vote. I talked about this a lot. This is not a public vote. Just because we might dislike Sepp Blatter, we technically have no say. But then you do have people who are willing to stand up, people that have the balls to say, no, this is enough. UEFA, they didn't want to completely boycott the election because they believed that more people would see through this farce and vote for Prince Ali and we'd have a new face. I'm not saying things would change within the first month if this happened. But by God, people would start to have their faith restored in FIFA if you get rid of the face that has been the head of this problem for years. And yes, there is not facts right now that say that Sepp Blatter is to be held accountable. But right underneath his nose, executives taking bribes of 150 million plus. You're telling me that if this is a political party that president remains in power? No fucking way. And the problem that transcends this is, do you know what? We're still going to watch. We're still going to watch Russia until 2018. We're still going to watch Qatar in 2022 because it's a religion to us. And we love the game so much that no matter who's in charge, we're still going to watch it. And that's what sucks more than anything, because he's still going to get his way. No matter how our beautiful game is ran, we're still going to tune in. 250 million people are still going to play this game. We're still going to buy shirts. We're still going to follow our favourite players because that's what happens. It's an unbelievable sport. So these just scumbags can do what they want and be untouched in the community of FIFA, and we will still give them their money because it's engraved in our culture.
The one thing that also needs to be a little bit distinguished is not all of the 133 countries that voted, or federations, as you say, voted for Sepp Blatter is a scumbag.
No, I'm saying the scumbags. that
right. Sackless might be a better term, just because I totally understand the point where you look at it and you go, no, we want to protect their jobs. There's more on the line to this here. I also don't want to rule out the idea that somewhere in the back of some of these federations' minds, or federations' leaders' minds, in terms of the voting process, I'm not attacking your country, might actually believe Sepp Blatter is doing a good job, which is maniacal, it's insane, but...
Do you know how they're basing that, though? off of the zeros that are in their account, the zero that is in the 1% of their bank
don't forget,
account.
so talking about zeros, some of these countries don't have zeros. They have none. They have no zeros.
And they've probably been guaranteed futures with more zeros. And this is the idea that I talked about you earlier. To put it in simplistic terms, we don't want to talk about the stats and statistics. If you're a fan of football and you go into this election, how could it get worse? This is a problem. This is the biggest scandal we've ever faced in football. It's dragging the name through the dirt. How could it get any worse? So what frame of mind do you have to be going in there thinking, other than money, thinking that this could be a good decision to vote Sepp Blatter into power? He's been in power for 4 consistent elections. Now you're putting him in for a 5th. When we've faced all these corruption allegations, these scandals, how could it be worse? Why not just take a chance? If it is indeed that, I'm pretty sure it's just a certainty, in voting for a new face. I'm not saying things would be turned around as soon as that vote went through, and if Prince Ali was the president, suddenly everything would change. But now everyone's faith is continually tarnished because we're not willing to take the guys involved in controlling our game don't have enough faith in someone else doing a job, and they are consistently going back to better the devil you know sort of scenario, which is fucking ridiculous. Because that's the question I want to ask: how could it get worse? How could it possibly be worse than what it already is? The only thing that you can vote for is a new lease of life. That's what frustrates me.
Well, at 79 years old, it's not like he has too much life left in him.
That's the only thing that people are going to cling to, is that maybe his time is limited in that position and he won't continue his mandate to 2019. And that's not something that people should wish on another human being. But when our World Cup lies in the hands of a Russia World Cup in 2018, our World Cup relies on being moved to the winter. And for those of you guys that know what the plan is for 2022, right now, 1,200 people have already died, not directly just building arenas for the World Cup, but 1,200 people have died since the World Cup was being announced in Qatar during construction. It's set to rise to 4,000. It's just illogical. Like, why? I agree with one commentator who said that every nation should have the chance to host a World Cup. Yes, of course you could. But when it sacrifices the lives of people, when it sacrifices the dignity of the competition to be held in the summer, no, you should not. If you're having to move it to the winter for climatic issues, that's not acceptable. This is a competition that has always been in the summer. It's part of people's vacation period. They go to watch the World Cup. It brings everyone together. When you're putting it in the winter, you're risking people watching it. You're risking everyday schedule of everyday leagues now that are going to have to compete. The La Liga that year, Premier League, all those trophies will be jeopardized because the players will have to focus on the World Cup. And in terms of stamina and fatigue, it's physically impossible to try and compete at that level for that amount of time and then go back to your league and say that you performed to the best of your ability.
Right, and look the World Cup bidding crises that have occurred even not just 2018. We're going to do more clips on this later with Ben and Francis and myself regarding America's role in this and whether you guys think it was okay or good or bad. We'll get all onto that in a separate clip for you, so make sure to look out for that later today. There is something that I want to read though, because out of everything that has happened with this is the unfortunate truth that comes with those with enough power. Dan Wetzel, this is also how the world works, though. There's such a disparity between wealth and poor, such disconnect between what is ethical and what is reasonable in business, such cultural diversity that it isn't easy to find a single issue that could topple a president who massages the group's interests so well. Blatter was elected by what you can call a populist movement. And those are true words. Yep. This is how it works. This is why politics make people go fucking crazy. Yeah. Now, is Blatter deserving of the chair that he sits in? No. Has he been deserving of that chair over the last 4 terms? No. But he did come out and say, I'm being held accountable for the current storm. Okay, so be it. I will shoulder it. I will take it upon myself. I will accept this responsibility and I will fix FIFA with you. You fucked up FIFA. Yeah. That, to me, is the most infuriating thing of everything, is he can happily sit there with his glasses and his awful haircut and his liver spots and talk to 209 federations and tell them happily that I won. Yeah. I'm better than you and you can't tell me otherwise. It
reminds me very much so of, you ever see the documentary Inside Job about the financial crisis? Yeah. Reminds me very similar to that, because the 1% who basically had people's faith.
It's a good point.
Had people who took a leap of faith on people that would sign agreements saying that the economy was stable. knowing well so that it wasn't, but they were paid to do so. They accepted that money. So then people started to put their faith in them. What happened? They get bit in the ass. They're the ones that suffer. And those guys who signed those documents, where do they go? Oh, they go into other positions of power. They're re-elected into it because it's all inter-community. It's all the people that are involved in this 1%, all the elitist group. They will continue to vote for the devil they know, the devil that keeps their pocket full, and it's fucking shite.
How many of those in our 2009 financial crisis served jail time?
0. And how many of them get re-elected into, even when it came in from the Bush administration into the Obama administration, if you watch the Inside Job,
not so
you see that many of them walk back in.
It's not so much re-election,
back into jobs,
but it's just the idea that they got to keep doing what they get. They get to keep doing what they do.
Some of them got paid. Don't know. No, some of them lost their jobs, but they lost it with $8 to $9 or $10 million bonuses and payoffs that they got.
Here's your severance package.
Yeah,
I hope you like your vacation house in Cabo.
Well, everyone else is struggling. So we hate to tie it so much into politics, but when it comes to this, there's no differentiation.
Sports and politics intersect, and this is a great example of how and why. And unfortunately, it's the truth of the matter. Again, as Ben has mentioned on previous clips, what Jackie Robinson did for baseball, that was political. Yeah. What Sepp Blatter is doing in FIFA, it is political.
And who are the people that's going to suffer the most? The fans of the games, the fans that need to look at.
I should save this for another clip, but the other thing, and I'll talk about it in another clip to make sure you guys keep going to that one too. You can't victimize the players.
No.
And that you can't have you can't be canceling Champions League. You can't be boycotting in a way that would prevent football from being played.
But I would like to take the Platini standpoint where he prevented FIFA executives from going to the Champions League final, which is a little kick in the stones. No, you don't get to come to the biggest, most elite tournament. But I would like to see some of the players maybe wear some sort of band standing against corruption. Something, or a T-shirt, warm-up T-shirt, something like that,
100%.
to send a message across, because that's the final point I want to leave you, is unfortunately it's going to be us.
Should we make these into T-shirts?
We should. FIFA give them to Ronaldo.
Just a nice little big mural of...
Imagine Messi wearing this before he went in. We'd
look good.
But as to finish, the people who are going to be at fault is us. The people who are going to have to question every World Cup underneath this probe, whether it should have been in that place, whether the countries that rightfully went through all the protocol to make sure that their nation was given a fair chance were actually allowed the chance to host the World Cup, because 2014, mark my words, it will be a domino effect. Every World Cup will be investigated. 2018 and 2022 are still to be investigated. Vladimir Putin's coming out and saying that this is all to do with how the United States are trying to exert their force. The transactions were made on US soil, mate. If I am in US and I punch somebody in the face, Scotland's not going to arrest me if I go back to Scotland, and if it's an assault case, I'm going to be arrested in the US because I broke the law here. So get your facts right before you start making ridiculous statements. And this is why it's so frustrating, because these people need to be held accountable. I don't care who holds them accountable, as long as someone does. And that is the problem that everyone's facing right now. Too many fingers being pointed when it should all be pointed at one man, this scumbag. Go back and subscribe.